couple years ago, I made a video showing how I built a DIY air purification system known as a Corsi Rosenthal box. And as a matter of fact, it was this exact Corsi Rosenthal box that I built for that video. And while I haven't used this air filter every single day between then and now, I have used it an awful lot. I don't know exactly how much I've used it, but it's certainly been in the hundreds of hours. And it's done a terrific job filtering the air in this house. But as with pretty much all filters, sooner or later they have to be replaced. And it's become pretty evident that it's time for these filters to get replaced when I hold up a brand new out of the box filter next to the old Corsi Rosenthal box. The old filter is dingy and yellow and dirty, and it's just time to swap these filters out. But because of the DIY nature of how these things are put together in the first place, i.e. with a lot of duct tape, or in my case, Gorilla Tape, it's a little bit of a procedure to kind of unassemble and reassemble this thing, being that the outer walls and structure of this thing are made up of those filters. So taking this thing apart mostly involves a utility knife and isn't an especially elegant procedure. But I figured I'd make this quick follow-up video to show you how I'm gonna do it, how I'm gonna rip this thing apart, keeping intact the parts that don't need to be replaced, and reassembling the whole thing with these new filters. Now, just a quick refresher on how this thing's put together. I've got 4 of these 20 by 20 filters that are taped together with Gorilla Tape into a sort of square shape. On the bottom, I've got a thick piece of cardboard that makes up the base or the bottom of the whole thing. And the top is a box fan of a particular size and configuration with this cardboard shroud that I also made and attached to the whole thing that really directs all the airflow right here into where the fan is. When the fan runs, it draws air inward through every side, through the filters, out through the top, and we've got our filtered air. So in replacing these filters, there's a couple things I don't really need to replace, such as this cardboard shroud that I put together the first time. If any of the tape looks like it's cracking or peeling up, I could replace it. For the most part, this Gorilla Tape looks to have held pretty strong. So mostly what I need to do is separate the filter walls from the box fan and from that bottom piece of cardboard. And if I thought that I could sort of peel this tape off without turning it into a huge ordeal, that's probably what I would do. And maybe I'll give that a shot. Some of the problem is that this Gorilla Tape is super strong and it might really not want to let go. And I think the best bet is going to just be to slit it with the utility knife and put a new layer of tape right over top of it. And that's it. I've removed the fan from the rest of it, and I can go ahead and set this aside until I need it in a few minutes. Now we can get a look inside there and see how nasty even the insides of those filter elements are. Definitely in need of replacement. Then I'll just carefully score all the way around the base of this thing. I don't really want to ruin my piece of cardboard because I want to reuse that. So I just want to be careful not to really cut into it. And we have that. And this whole thing is pretty much just ready for the garbage. Of course, I'll cut the sides apart so I can fit all these things into a garbage bag a little easier. There we go. Now for this bottom piece of cardboard, I guess I will clean up some of this tape a little bit to make sure it's neat and clean when I reassemble it all. And I guess the way I'll do that is just come around and trim up some of the little overhanging edges with the utility knife. All right, that looks pretty good to me. So now I think we can start reassembling the sides out of those new filters. Now, just like I did the first time, I want to arrange these such that the corrugations are going up and down. That's going to provide the most structure since these are the walls. Secondly, at the corners, I'm going to arrange it in a log cabin pattern. That is to say, on one joint, I'll have it like this, and then the next joint, I'll do this. That way it'll be the same measurement on both the length and width of this thing. Okay, sides are attached, and of course they're a little wobbly until we get that top and bottom put on. Start with the bottom, and of course this couldn't be simpler. We're just setting it on top and taping it to the sides. Last thing to do, put the fan back on the top and tape that all into place. And this is really the only part that I have to do a little bit of extra to, because the fan has these rounded corners and the box has these squared edges. So I just have to get in there and do a little sort of manipulation with the tape and the razor blade and just kind of create a nice fitted piece to go around each corner. Well, maybe not as pretty as the first time I did it, but nice and sealed, and it will do the job. I'll just repeat that to the other corners, and we'll be all set. And there we are. This whole thing took me probably about 15 minutes, and I'm sure it would have been a little quicker if I wasn't, taking the time to fool around with the camera and the lighting and so forth in making this video. But now I've got my nice, clean, shiny new filters, and I can get rid of these nasty old yellow dingy ones, and I should get another couple years out of this thing. And by the way, in the time since I made the original one of these, the price of these kinds of filters have come down quite a bit. So if you haven't made one of these before, now is a great time, because it'll be actually quite a bit cheaper probably than when I made this one. And I think this one was about 80 bucks when I did it the first time. Now it's probably more like 50 or 60. And I'll put links in the video description to all the stuff that I used to make this, including these filters here, which again, I got for quite a bit cheaper than the ones I used last time around. Now I'm ready to fire this thing back up, but before I do, be sure to like and subscribe and stay up to date with all our latest stuff, including future DIY videos. And consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/GreatLakesCountry. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'm John, and this is Great Lakes Country.